Joe again from Boater Home Inspection. I just wanted to do a little video here while I'm underneath this trailer and describe to you a couple of things here. When you're selecting a home inspector, whether it's in Lloydminster or Hawaii, wherever, make sure that you interview your home inspector. Make sure that you know if they're going to do a good job for you. So for instance here, we'll take a look. So I've gained access under this trailer over here, and I barely fit underneath this water drain line. Everything looks really good, but I noticed one thing under here when I was coming in, that there was something shiny sticking out of the soil over here. See if I can focus in on that. So my instinct, being a long-time home inspector, is that that's a piece of ice. So I thought, well, it's my job to climb over there and see if in fact that is ice. And it was. So you might hire the smartest home inspector around, but if they don't want to get into those hard to reach areas, then that doesn't do you any good if they're not going to do the job. So again, interview the home inspector, find out if they're going to do the hard job, they're going to go to the hard to reach areas, and sometimes the area, the spots are tight and it's hard to get into these areas. So bear that in mind when you're hiring your home inspector. It's important to get into the hard to reach areas, because oftentimes that's where no one goes, and that's where the problems exist. In this case, there was a leak, and there was about a 6 foot diameter ring of ice in the bottom of the belly bag over here, and I was able to determine that. Well, here we go again, another trailer, another belly bag issue that I want to talk about. Today's home hint, I want to say that if you're hiring a home inspector, or even if you're not hiring a home inspector, make sure that you climb underneath the trailer. It's not fun. In fact, today I have a very sore arm and didn't want to do it, but you know, it's important. So I'll show you what I found here. So there's the access. I could have very easily said unable to inspect because the ground near the access is wet and I had to crawl through that, and you know, there's standing water in here, so on and so forth. There's lots of reasons why I could say I don't want to do it. And it looks good, frankly. But when you crawl inside, you get a closer view and you can see what's happening. And trailers are notorious for problems that go unseen. They're no different than any other house, but in a conventional house, you see the watermarks and the drips. So here you can see the belly bag is not quite right, and I can see a stain. So what I did was I basically tried to track the water over to the hole, and you can see that there's a problem here. Okay, and then further down, it's the same thing. So you kind of need to know what you're looking for, but a lot of people would have noticed this if they got close enough to see it, whether you're an inspector or not. So again, if you're hiring somebody, make sure that you ask the question, will you crawl under the crawl space? And you can judge by their answer whether or not they're going to get in there or not. So, and sometimes it's not safe, and I'm not saying that every time the inspector should climb underneath the trailer, but for the most part they should. One of the other things that I often find problems with under trailers is the blocking. So you always want to use pressure treated blocking on the ground like they have here, and then cross block, and then a good heavy beam running across, which is the case here. But as you go this way, you can see that the blocking, because a lot of moisture has been coming in this corner, it's quite a low area, the blocking has settled into the mud and even began to rot, and now it's not holding anything. So it's really important that you check this out periodically, put it on some concrete pads or something to prevent it from settling. Looking at this particular toilet drain, you can see someone has insulated it quite a bit. Generally speaking, you should not have to insulate underneath the trailer around the drain plumbing, because it should be sloped to go away. One of the problems I often find with the drain lines is the fact that they're not sloped correctly. You can see it's kind of a Mickey Mouse system on this particular one. But the bigger problem here, and I see this quite often, is the fact that the sewer has actually disconnected and dumping down on the ground. So before I come down under here, I run the water for about 15 minutes and it all came pouring out here on the ground. So if you're buying a trailer, make sure that you pay attention to this.